VM Radio presenta.
Muy buenos días, bienvenido. Mi nombre es Federico Vojosevich y hoy en día me siento muy emocionado, muy contento porque tenemos la presencia especial de un grupo de chefs y de nuestro gran socio Swiss Education Group que nos van a deleitar con una masterclass de chocolate. Esta masterclass va a ser transmitida de forma sincrónica desde Suiza. Y bueno, qué mejor que conocer de los chefs, que podemos obviamente estar con ellos de esta manera virtual que nos permite la tecnología, pero también en un futuro estar de manera presencial. Para esto le voy a pasar la palabra a mi colega Humberto Aguayo. Ya hemos tenido varias pláticas, presentaciones con Humberto y él nos va a explicar un poquito de qué se trata esta gran alianza que tenemos entre Swiss Education Group y VM. Y vamos a conocer justamente la calidad, la magnífica calidad de estos magníficos chefs que, bueno, la trayectoria es inimaginable. Humberto la va a describir y ya lo van a conocer del propio chef Fotios y también de Christian, contándonos un poquito justamente de su historia. Así que sin más preámbulo, agradecer nuevamente a todos por estar conectados. Tienen el chat donde podrán hacer las preguntas pertinentes, que les sea cuestiones que quieran saber, quieran conocer un poco más. Y ya mismo les quiero pasar la palabra a mi colega, a Humberto. Humberto, muy buenos días y te cedo la palabra. Y muchísimas gracias por este esfuerzo de tener estos grandes chefs el día de hoy. Gracias y adelante.
Hola Federico, muchas gracias. Gracias a toda la comunidad de VM que está sintonizándonos en todos los campus del país. Agradecemos su espacio y su tiempo y estamos muy orgullosos de estar con ustedes, estar formalizando más que nada este convenio tan importante entre el área de hospitalidad y gastronomía de VM con Swiss Education Group a través de dos de sus escuelas, Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland y Swiss Hotel Management School. Y qué forma más importante que consentirlos y deleitarlos con esta clase especial sobre el mundo del chocolate. Y para eso, como bien dijo Federico, en un momento también les platicaré de lo que es nuestro convenio para que lo puedan aprovechar y considerar los distintos programas que ofrecemos en Suiza, pero me gustaría cederle ahora la palabra al chef Christian y al chef Fotios, nada más presentarlos un poquito más. Christian es de Alemania, pero ahorita vive en Singapur, entonces estamos con 14 horas de diferencia con él, entonces, thank you Christian. Y Christian es el encargado de marketing y desarrollo de Culinary Arts Academy, y por otro lado, nuestro gran chef Fotios. El chef Fotios tiene más de 24 años de experiencia como chef de repostería en hoteles de 5 estrellas, restaurantes de lujo, pastelerías y cruceros de 7 estrellas en Australia, Estados Unidos, Inglaterra y Grecia, y ahora está con nosotros en Suiza, en Lucerna, en la parte alemana. Lo que ven atrás de él es una clase en vivo de los alumnos de pastelería y de nuestro diploma en chocolatería y pastelería. Entonces, sin más preámbulo, le cedo la palabra. Thank you, Christian, and thank you, Chef Fotios. Let's get started.
All right, Humberto, thank you very much for having us here today. That was quite interesting. It was the first time I heard an introduction of myself and chef in Spanish, so I learned something. Wow. Thank you very much. So as you can see, we are joined by Chef Fotios. Chef just stepped out of the class. You can see his students behind him, and he is joining us for this masterclass today, the world of chocolate arts. So let's get started. Let me share my screen with you. Humberto, can you just nod if you can see my screen? Yeah, wonderful. All right, the world of chocolate arts, Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland, that is the topic this morning. We had a brief introduction, but again, I just want to show you who is with you today. It's myself, Christian. I'm working for the school looking after marketing, development. We are joined by our very own pastry chef instructor, Chef Fotios, live from Lucerne outside the class, and my colleague Humberto, who did such a nice introduction. Let's jump right in it. What do we want to do? We would like to talk a little bit about our school, the Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland campus, study offers, what can I do there? Then we listen and see what the chef is showing us all about chocolate arts. We will learn a lot about chocolate, and chef will show us a very nice demonstration about chocolate pralines. And then, of course, we are here to answer all your questions at the end. Let's jump in it. Let's start. Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland. Our school, our motto is passion for food, career for life. This is what we do. We are all passionate people, passionate about food. We would like to welcome students from Mexico and from all over the world who have a passion for food and who want to start their career in the culinary world, which is truly a career for life. Culinary Arts Academy in Switzerland. Switzerland, why should I study in Switzerland? What makes Switzerland a very, very great destination? Switzerland is a very innovative country with a strong and stable economy, always top of the class for higher education. Switzerland is always ranked among the best, if not the best country in the world in terms of business opportunities, quality of life, education. So really a great place, and it is home to many, many international organizations. If you don't know where Switzerland is, have a look at the map. You can see it here right in the middle of Europe, surrounded by France, Germany, Austria, and Italy. And that makes Switzerland and the Swiss culinary arts, the Swiss cuisine, very, very special. It's like a melting pot, and we have influences from the Mediterranean, from France, from all over Europe, and it makes it a very diverse and rich culinary culture, which we invite you to come over and to explore for yourself. If you talk about Switzerland, we always have pictures in our head. How might it look like? Something like that. Mountains, small villages, lots of snow. We had already the first snow in the season, and soon after, our cities will look like this picture here. Beautiful cities. This is Zurich, our biggest city in Switzerland, but also in summer, Switzerland is a great place. Lots of outdoor activities, a lot of things you can discover in Switzerland. And when you are in Switzerland, you want to discover the place. It's very, very easy. Anywhere and everywhere in Switzerland, you can easily take a train. We have the best railway network in the world, which takes you all across Switzerland and also all across Europe for you to really discover the culture, try different foods, and really discover the place. So Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland, that means world-class culinary education in Switzerland at our school, the Culinary Arts Academy Switzerland. We have 2 campuses in Switzerland. We are located in Le Bouveret, which is our main campus where we have most of our programs running, and our chocolate and pastry campus, our city campus in Lucerne, where Chef Fotios is calling in from today. Again, a look at the map of Switzerland. If you look at the left bottom corner, you see the Lake Geneva. At one end of the Lake Geneva, there is Le Bouveret, right at the shores of the lake, our main campus of the Culinary Arts Academy, and then right in the middle of Switzerland, our city campus in Lucerne, where we teach our students all about Swiss and European pastry and chocolate. A very unique feature about our school is that both of our campuses we are sharing with our sister hospitality management school, the Cesar Ritz Colleges Switzerland. So we share our campus with a leading business and hospitality management school. And for our students, they are not only surrounded by other culinary students, they also get to know students from all across the world who study management, business, and hospitality management. And you get to interact with them throughout the courses. You get to work on different projects and events together. And it's truly an inspiring and an amazing study atmosphere while we are sharing the campus with our sister school. Training facilities, features, we have provide our students with state-of-the-art training facilities. And as you can see here, the Apicius building, that is a state-of-the-art culinary training center, a newly erected building 5 stories full of training kitchens for our students. We commissioned the building last year, so since 1 year, we teach our students in this beautiful training kitchens, different training restaurants as well. It's a real live environment where we train our students, and everything has been set up to our standard class size of 12 students per class. So we have very small but interactive hands-on classes where you'll be together with the chef instructor throughout your training, even fully functioned fine dining training kitchen with different features like a smoker grill, a live lobster tank. We grow our own microgreens, and we have all those amazing equipment there where our students will learn step by step everything about culinary arts so that they can start their career for life with us at the Culinary Arts Academy, Switzerland. One thing we are very, very proud of is our unique partnership with one of the best chefs in the world, and this is Chef Anton Mosimann. Chef Mosimann is a Swiss-born chef who had a long-standing career over the last 5 decades. Over 50 years, this man was successful all around the world. At a very young age, at the age of 28, he became head chef at the Dorchester Hotel in London. There he was the boss of 120 chefs running different restaurants, earning his first 2 Michelin stars throughout his long career over there in London, went on cooking all around the world, opened different own businesses, and he actually became caterer to the royal family in the UK. He cooked for the Queen of England and her family at different occasions. At the last 2 weddings, he was involved in the catering. And Chef Mosimann has collected many things throughout his career. He has won over 50 gold medals at different competitions all around the world. He received over 120 different diplomas and degrees from schools all around the world. And all those things are on display in the Mosimann collection on campus in Le Bouveret, which is like a culinary heritage center dedicated to the life and work of Chef Mosimann. But for our students, this is a great research area. Our students in this collection have access to hundreds and hundreds of different cookbooks, recipe books, culinary books. They can see over 1,000 menu cards from Chef Mosimann, and students can do their own research. They can develop their own creativity and their own style of cooking. Chef Mosimann is visiting the campus very frequently, and he serves as a mentor to our students and as an advisor to our academy, and we are very proud of that special partnership. But not only that, we are also proud of our professional and diverse faculty which we have on campus. And this is just to show you, I know it's a lot to read, this is just to show you the pictures. Those are our chef instructors working at the campus. And all of them have been professional chefs at one point in their life. They have been head chefs, executive chefs in Michelin star restaurants, in 5-star luxury hotels, on cruise ships all around the world. And they are now bringing this professional expertise, that skills and that passion into the classroom for our students. I mentioned at the beginning, we have 2 campuses. So our campus in Lucerne has also dedicated training facilities all set up for our pastry and chocolate programs. Again, small classes, 12 students per class, very interactive, very hands-on training together with our chef instructors. So a very interactive and a very inspiring learning environment for our students. In Lucerne as well, professional faculty, all pastry chefs, executive pastry chefs, Chef Daniel, Chef Graham, Chef Fotios, who is with us today, and Chef Javier. All of them have been pastry chefs all around the world, had their own businesses, joined and won competitions all around the world, and they bring that spirit, they bring that feeling, that knowledge into the classroom and share it with our students throughout our lectures. Another special thing what we provide at the Culinary Arts Academy to our students is our complete, all-inclusive on-campus experience. So what do I mean when I say on-campus experience? That means A lot of things are included in our study offers. The student residencies, the rooms where our students are staying, are located right on campus in the same building where the classrooms and the training kitchens are. That means you do not need to commute to and from the school every morning, every evening. You don't need to worry, where do I stay when I study in Switzerland? You will stay right at the school, at the student residencies, which we provide for you. Also, all our meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, every day is taken care of and provided by us for our students. And you as a student, you have the choice between self-service buffet-style restaurants or even our fine dining kitchens to have your meals, and you don't need to worry. And we even have our small own mini-mart right at the campus, open 24/7, 365 days a year. So anytime in the day, all night, you want to pick up a sandwich, a cold drink, or even a Starbucks coffee, you can do that right on campus. This is our offer for our students. We want you to be able to focus on your studies, to be successful, and to start your career. So how do we prepare our students for the future? We offer different study programs, but for this, I pass over the virtual microphone to my colleague Humberto, who will introduce the different study programs to you in Spanish. Humberto.
Thank you, Christian. All right, let's get started. Entonces les voy a platicar brevemente de los programas que tenemos en la Escuela de Artes Culinarias, pero el más importante es la licenciatura. Aclarar, nuestros programas son de 3 años, 100% en inglés, pero ¿cómo funciona el convenio que se tiene con VM? Este convenio, créanme que nos costó trabajo lograr, pero afortunadamente ya estamos. ¿Y cómo funciona? Ustedes van a cursar los primeros 3 años equivalentes a semestres, trimestres, cuatrimestres en sus distintos campus y posteriormente se van a ir con nosotros 1 año a Suiza, a Bouvray, en la parte francesa de Suiza, y van a cursar el año 2, que ahí ven que es la columna en medio que viene recalcada. Nuestro programa es trimestral, cada trimestre es de 11 semanas, entonces ahí ven las materias que van a llevar, son 5 materias que van a llevar en cada trimestre y posteriormente, esto es lo interesante, van a hacer un internship en cualquier parte del mundo de hasta 6 meses. Entonces lo que van a hacer, recalcando, es 6 meses de clases y 6 meses de prácticas profesionales remuneradas en cualquier parte del mundo. Ahorita relacionado a lo que decía el chef Cristian, Suiza es el país que per cápita tiene el mayor número de restaurantes con estrellas Michelin, que son los mejores del mundo. Entonces, tenemos colaboración con muchos de ellos para que nuestros alumnos hagan ahí su internship de 6 meses y les tienen que pagar. Ahorita más adelante va a hablar Cristian de cómo se consigue ese internship, etcétera. Pero así funciona el convenio y al finalizar obtienen de parte nuestra un Swiss Higher Diploma in Culinary Arts. Eso es el diploma que van a recibir por parte nuestra y luego regresan a sus distintas ciudades en México, a sus campus, a terminar y tener su licenciatura por VM. Al final les voy a explicar más a detalle del proceso de admisión, cómo son las fechas, requisitos, etcétera, y también mis datos de contacto si están interesados en tener más información sobre este increíble convenio, pero hablaremos también porque puede haber algunos de ustedes que les gustaría hacer algo después o ya estén más acabando la carrera y ya no alcancen a hacer este convenio, entonces pues vamos a hablar de las distintas opciones. The next one, Christian, please. Entonces tenemos un programa que es el Swiss Grand Diploma in Culinary Arts. Este es un programa 100% cocina porque el anterior, nuestra licenciatura, e igual lo que ustedes llevan en VM, es una combinación entre la parte de artes culinarias o gastronomía con materias de negocios. Aquí este gran diploma que se imparte en Bouvray, igual en la parte francesa, empieza 4 veces al año. Es un programa 100% cocina, es para complementar, son 3 trimestres, es decir, 9 meses de clases. Al finalizar cada trimestre reciben un diploma, un certificado y también al final sus 6 meses de prácticas profesionales remuneradas en cualquier parte del mundo. Entonces estamos hablando que es un programa de 15 meses, 9 de clases, bueno, que son prácticamente en cocina, y esto también es muy importante porque son de 25 a 30 horas de clase a la semana en cocina, y como ya bien dijo Cristian, las clases son máximo de 12 alumnos, y luego ya reciben su Swiss Grand Diploma. The next one, Christian, please. Y también tenemos, este es un programa único en el mundo, yo los invitaría por favor a que también lo consideren, sobre todo si ya están al final de su licenciatura, es un diploma en artes culinarias vegetarianas. Este se imparte en Bouvray, empieza solo 2 veces al año, en enero y en julio, Son 2 trimestres, ahí ven las materias que van a llevar, son 3 materias por trimestre, pero son bastante intensivas. Y como ven, es 100% vegetariano y vegano. Y al finalizar esos 6 meses de clase, hacen esos 6 meses de prácticas profesionales remuneradas en cualquier parte del mundo. Y al final, pues obtienen ese diploma en artes culinarias vegetarianas. Entonces es un programa único en el mundo. Y obviamente los beneficios que tienen por ser alumnos o exalumnos de UVM entran en estas opciones, en estos diplomas. The next one, Christian, please. Y también empezaremos en octubre del próximo año una maestría que ofrece primero que nada un doble grado. Para aquellos de ustedes que ya están por graduarse de UVM, es una maestría en Administración de Negocios de Artes Culinarias. Es un programa de 6 meses de clases, va a empezar en octubre, es la primera generación. Y ahí están las materias que ven. Sí son combinación materias teóricas con prácticas, es decir, materias en salón normal a materias en cocina. Y muy interesante también es que van a tener que llevar un segundo idioma que es francés o alemán. Y al finalizar esos 6 meses de clases, van a hacer su internship y de requisito de titulación es un plan de negocios, un business plan, y lo increíble es que van a tener un doble grado. Por nosotros, por Cesar Rich Colleges, va a ser la maestría, que es un MIB, Maestría en Negocios Internacionales en Administración de Negocios Culinarios, y por la Universidad de Derby, una maestría en Administración de Negocios de Artes Culinarias, pero por la Universidad de Derby en Inglaterra esto es automático, entonces si lo consideran en un año, que son 6 meses de clases, 6 meses de prácticas, obtendrían 2 grados de maestría, la suiza y la inglesa, todo en Suiza. The next one, Christian, please. Y por último, donde está el chef Fotios, que es nuestro gran diploma suizo en pastelería y chocolatería. Es un programa igual de 9 meses, inicia 4 veces al año, en enero, en abril, en julio y en octubre. Ahí ven las materias, son 3 materias por trimestre, pero bastante intensivas. Ahorita les va a hablar más el chef Fotios. Y al finalizar esos 9 meses de clases, igual son 6 meses de prácticas profesionales. Y este programa se imparte en Lucerna, en la parte alemana de Suiza, de las fotos que vieron ahorita. Entonces, estos son los distintos programas, el convenio que se ofrece para la licenciatura, que es 6 meses de clase, 6 meses de prácticas, la maestría y los 3 diplomas, el de cocina vegetariana, el de artes culinarias y este de chocolatería y pastelería. Entonces, cualquier duda, al final pueden mandarnos sus preguntas o van a tener mis datos de contactos. Back to you, Christian. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Humberto. So lots and lots of different and exciting study opportunities we are offering for our students. But not only this, in addition to all the programs you have just seen, we do offer master classes. We inviting guest chefs over to the campus to provide our students with a little bit extra experience. And we have chefs coming over giving different pastry workshops. We do cheese master classes, wine and champagne master classes, cigar master classes, and even master classes about business communication or wedding planning. Even, and this is all some extra knowledge for our students, which we provide on campus throughout the academic year, throughout our courses. So very, very exciting things happening on campus. Last but not least, an overview, our partners, academic partners, educational partners. One of our academic partners, the University of Derby from the UK in England and Great Britain. This is our partner for the bachelor degree program as well as for the master. So students going for this program receive the Swiss bachelor or master degree as well as a British bachelor or master degree as well. And as you can see here, we are partner schools of world chefs. We are one of the few schools in the world who have received the recognition for quality culinary education by the World Association of Chef Societies, in short, World Chefs. This is one of the highest forms of industry endorsement you can receive in the culinary world, and we are very proud to have achieved that and to be a partner school for world chefs as well. And then you see our different education partners. We are teaming up with companies, with the industry, to really have our students working on real life projects providing industry visits, providing guest speakers from the industry. We just created a new partnership with Kempinski hotels worldwide, where our culinary and pastry students work on real-life research and development projects for the hotel group and developing a chocolate product which will be launched after presentation all around the world in all Kempinski hotels. So this is also something we are offering to our students. As Humberto mentioned, we do have internship opportunities in all our programs. We want our students to make practical experience, go in the industry, work in a professional kitchen, learn from professional chefs, and we provide a very, very strong career and internship support in our schools, on our campuses. We have counselors and internship coaches ready for you on the campus who will work with you on a career plan. They get you in touch with our recruitment partners. They help you find the right fit for an industry placement, for your internship, and also for your career, for your job after graduation. And that's a very strong support we have with our global recruitment partner network. This is, in a nutshell, what the Culinary Arts Academy does, what the Culinary Arts Academy has to offer. There's much more to say. If you have questions, feel free to ask the questions. Feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to provide more information. But you tuned in today for chocolate, for everything about chocolate, the world of chocolate arts. And this is what it shall be all about. Humberto and myself, we talked for around 25 minutes. That's all we take. And we would like now to start our virtual masterclass with our very own pastry chef instructor, Chef Fotios from our campus in Lucerne. So again, I pass on the virtual microphone to Chef Fotios. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. A big thank you for joining the class. A little bit about myself. I'm Greek. My name is Fotios Kefalakis, or Fotis Kefalakis. Some they call me Chef Foti. I was quite lucky because my father was an executive chef. My uncle was an owner of 8 pastry shops with a big chocolate production. So I grew up in the industry. As Humberto said, I believe, because I don't speak Spanish, I travel the world. I use my profession to travel the world, because as you know, good chefs are wanted around the world. So I worked in Australia, in UK, in States. I was 7 years on a 6-star cruise ship. So at some point, I did everything in pastry. I worked in fine dining hotels, in resorts, in city hotels, banquets, pastry shops. So I thought that the next step of my career is to teach and share my knowledge. I took a degree from the University of Derby, and the last 5 years, I'm here teaching in Switzerland. As you can see behind me, there is some action going on. I had to leave the class for this class, so somebody else took over my class. We prepared some videos for you. Today we're going to be making a praline, a molded praline, a cherry molded praline. And I have a lot of techniques and tips to share with you. But first, let's talk a little bit about chocolate. This amazing product that is so suitable to suit us that even its melting point is just on our body temperature at 36 degrees, right? And not only that, but eating dark chocolate is very healthy for yourself as well. Studies show that eating everyday dark chocolate is reducing the heart diseases by 1/3, right? Yeah, dark chocolate, guys, is very, very healthy. And going at the other end, on the white chocolate, I don't know if you know, but technically, white chocolate is not a chocolate because it doesn't contain one of the main ingredients of chocolate, which is the cocoa solids. What I'm saying to my students here in Switzerland is that the white chocolate is the black sheep of chocolates. And talking about Switzerland, the land of chocolate treats, I don't know if you know, but if you take all the Toblerone chocolates that are produced in here in Switzerland per year, and you put them from end to end, they will circle the planet 1.5 times. So going on the next step, on the next slide, Let's talk a little bit about the beginning, about the tree, right? The tree, the botanical name of the tree is Theobroma cacao, which in Greek language means food for gods, right? And it was given by botanologists in 1700. But long before that, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Toltecs was the ones that they recognized the tree and its abilities, right? They were calling it hocolati, which it means bitter water. They were doing it kind of like a beverage. They were drinking it. It was very nutritious because the cocoa beans, they contain a lot of cocoa butter, right? So it was very, very nutritious. And Cortes was the one that brought the chocolate in Europe, the cocoa beans in Europe, along with all the equipment to prepare this drink. That time was nothing like the hot chocolate what we are drinking today. It was still bitter. They were mixing it with wine, sometimes even with beer, and some very rarely with milk as well. And then were the Italians the first ones that they basically made a treat, a chocolate treat, but it was nothing like the chocolate we know today. It was quite grainy. It was hard. You had to chew it in order to melt. It was nothing like the chocolate we know today. Before we continue with the history of the chocolate, let's watch the first video that we prepared for you. We're going to start with the fillings of the praline.
All right, let's get started with the video. Just a second.
Hello everybody, my name is Fotios Kefalakis. I'm one of the pastry chef instructors in Culinary Arts Academy, and today we will make a malted praline, a cherry malted praline. I choose this praline because it's seasonal, and we are going to start with the fillings, and we're going to do two different fillings. One is going to be jelly and the other one is going to be ganache. It's always good in the praline to have different textures, and jelly is a very nice element to elevate the fruit flavor. Here we mix the cherry puree with the water. We have the pectin mixed with the sugar. This is going to help the pectin to dissolve inside the mixture. And here we have the sugar, and on top of the sugar I place the glucose. It's going to be easier after to remove it back into the mixture. And the citric acid, which citric acid basically is giving refreshness to the mixture, and you can also substitute with a little bit of lemon juice. So let's start with the recipe. We warm up the puree and the water to about 50 degrees. When the puree comes on 50 degrees, it's good to turn off the stove. We are talking about a very, very small amount. So by the time that you add all the pectin inside, probably the temperature is going to rise, and you don't want that to happen because the pectin is going to get lumpy. So we turn off the stove and we're basically sprinkling in the sugar and the pectin, stirring consistently. Back to the heat. And now we need to give to the mixture one boil. After the first boil, we're going to add the second sugar and the glucose. One boil, and we add sugar and glucose. One boil again, turn off the stove, and we're adding the citric acid. As I said, we can substitute citric acid with 3 times the amount of citric acid with lemon juice. So citric acid is very, very sour. Give it a good stir. Make sure that the citric acid is wildly mixed, nicely mixed. And straight away, we're going to put the mixture inside the piping bag. We're going to let it cool down. We're going to let it cool down, and we're going to use it as a filling on our pralines.
using a fruit filling, a fruit jelly, is always nice because you embrace the flavor of the praline, and at the same time is stabilizing a little bit the sweetness of the product, because the new trends now, we have to reduce the sugar, right? If the sugar is too much, you don't really feel the flavor. Because before we go to the Swiss pioneers that we prepare to talk, I want you to think a little bit in your minds, and let's just think which country you think consume the most chocolate per kilo per resident in the world. Is it US, China, Russia, UK, Belgium, Germany, or Switzerland? Think a little bit in your mind which is the country that is consuming the more chocolate in the world per resident. And I don't know what you think. Maybe you think USA or Belgium, but the correct answer is Switzerland. So let's talk now about the pioneers, and I will start with the gentleman on the bottom of your screen, the bottom, middle bottom. That's Francois Louis. Basically, he was the first one that brought the chocolate in Switzerland. As I told you before, the Italians, they were making a treat that it was quite grainy, quite hard to chew. So he was the first one that brought the chocolate in Switzerland, and his company still exists. Sometimes every term we do a chocolate trip, and sometimes we go to that company also to see the chocolate production. So he's one of the pioneers in chocolate in Switzerland. After Francois Louis Caillet, he passed his company to Daniel Peter. And why Daniel Peter is very important person is because he basically is the father of milk chocolate. He was visioning a product with milk, but he couldn't really remove the water from the milk, and he succeeded his product when he met Henry, the gentleman in the middle top, and is Henry Nestlé. I guess you all know one of the biggest companies here in Switzerland is Nestlé, and basically what Nestlé was doing at that time, he was making a baby formula. So he was the first one that created milk powder. So together they made the product that we know today as the milk chocolate. Yes, it was invented here in Switzerland. And now the gentleman on the right top is Rodolph Lindt. I guess you know the Lindt chocolates. He is one of the most important figures in the chocolate history, because basically he is the father of chocolate, actually. That time, Lindt, he was not happy with the chocolate product, not only his chocolate product, but all the chocolate products in the market. And he was trying to perfect it. His family background, they were pharmacists, so his brother advised him to create a machine. So he's an inventor as well. So he made the machine, a big granite tube that is moving back and forward and graining the mixture, and they let the machine running for 3 days and 3 nights. And when they opened the machine, they were shocked from the very first try. The chocolate was like a silky velvet. All the particles of the cocoa solids, they were so small that your tongue wouldn't be able to detect. And what Lindt did, he add more cocoa butter inside the mixture, and he made the chocolate. He brought the chocolate to the state we know it today, that you're putting it inside your mouth and it's melting. His product became very, very famous when he joined forces with Mr. Sprungli, the gentleman on the bottom left. His pastry shops are still around, big time in Zurich. You find them in every corner, and this product became so popular because Sprungli already had a big part in the market. So together they launched this product that they call it chocolate fondant. The guy on the right bottom of your screen, yeah, that's Mr. Tobler. He's the Toblerone guy, the one that is creating the chocolates that you can circle the earth. Going on the next slide, you can see the conching machine is the machine that Rodolphe Lindt creates, and another company that we are visiting here in Switzerland is quite close because it's here on the German part, is Veltlin. Probably you know one of the top 2 chocolates in the world, and they still using that machine. They make a special product for special customers, and I've seen it with my own eyes. In these days, they're using a different conching machine, but the conch of the chocolate is very, very, very important. And I'll tell you later why. So Switzerland is not only famous because of the chocolate treats, but also for the stories and the inventions that make the chocolate the way we know it today. Now we're going to go to the second video, and before we go to the second video, I told you before that Switzerland is on top in chocolate consuming, and I want you to think as well how much you think chocolate average a resident in Switzerland eats per year. Is 2.5 kilos, is 5 kilos, is 7 kilos, is 8.8. How much chocolate you think is eating per year? The correct answer is 8.8 kilogram. That much chocolate people here are eating in Switzerland. Swiss people, they have a tendency of a sweet tendency. So let's watch the second video. I'm going to be making the ganache, so the second filling for the praline.
Thank you, Chef Fotios.
So for the next recipe, we're going to make the ganache. We have the chocolate, dark chocolate and milk chocolate, which we have melted. And you can see from the side of the container, it's just a little bit half melted. They are kind of like stick to each other. The glucose is helping for the ganache, so it won't crystallize. Cream, any 35% cream will do. And we have a little bit of cherry alcohol, which if you don't want to use alcohol, you can always skip it. We have a little bit of butter, which is going to embrace the flavor of the ganache. I put straight away in the pan the cherry puree. So we take the glucose and we add it straight on top of the chocolate. Then you take the cream and you mix it with the puree. So we bring the cream and the puree almost to the boil. Therefore, if sometimes we say to the students that you boil the cream, they keep on boiling the cream, and then a lot of water is evaporating, and that's not very good. That's why we are using this process that we bring the cream almost to the boil. The chocolate is half melted, therefore you don't have water evaporation, and you have a stable recipe. When puree and cream comes almost to the boil, we're adding it onto the chocolate. We stir it a little bit with a spatula. Just, let's say, to break the lump of the chocolate. Then using a stick blender or a hand blender, we're blending it. When the mixture is smooth and shiny, then we can add the butter in. And last, the alcohol. Then we pour it onto the pattern bag as well. And this will be the second filling for our praline.
It's always good to prepare first your fillings and then prepare your mold, especially when we are talking about a big production. Your fillings, they need to be cold before you obviously fill the mold. So we always start with the fillings. Let's continue now with the trip of chocolate, and let's talk a little bit about the steps from the bean to bar. First of all, the tree, I guess you know because you live in a country that cocoa beans are growing, but the tree is growing 20 degrees north and south from the equator. We call it the cocoa zone. And the harvesting season is throughout the year, so there is no really a harvesting season. It's happening all year. So after we're harvesting the beans, we open them and we let them ferment. The fermentation process is very, very important and it's very, very complex. After the fermentation process, basically the beans are getting the color and the aroma. So fermentation is very, very important step. After the fermentation, we sun dry the beans. Also important, otherwise the beans, they can get moldy. We package, storage, and shipped. Most of the times, the chocolate here arrives in Holland. So from there is a big distributor of the cocoa beans. The companies are buying the beans, and we have the debacterization and cleaning. You can find a lot of different things inside these bags. Sometimes even fabric, nails, and glass, and so on and so forth. So there are special machineries. We always see them here when we do the chocolate trip with our students, and they clean and debacterize the beans. After that is the roasting, which is also very important step. I guess all of you had raw almond, and after roasting you really feel the aroma. So after the roasting you feel more the aroma of the bean. After roasting, the bean has a very, very thin shell that is getting away by winnower. We call it a winnower, but basically it's by air, by blowing away the shell. After that, we grinding or blending the beans. The beans are passing through mills, so they're breaking the very, very, very thin pieces, very small powder, let's put it this way. And then we have the conching, the machine that Lind created. And the conching, as I told you before, is very, very important, not only because it makes the chocolate very, very fine, but because of friction, the temperature of the chocolate is rising, and we have the evaporation of very, very small amount of the water that is inside the chocolate. And with this evaporation, also acidic from the beans are getting evaporated, right? So here in Switzerland, again, I'm saying when we go with the students in the chocolate factory, you can feel that the air is acidic because of the conching process. So after that, the chocolate is cooled down, packed, and ready to come to you, to come to us. So let's continue now with the third video that we are preparing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So next step, we're going to create the design of the mold. Because everything is a little bit messy, we always like to wrap the table with plastic so we don't make mess. So we need to polish the mold, and we are using cotton. Sometimes if you wash the mold, maybe you leave some stain from the water, and this stain from the water the mineral from the water. It will create a problem to your praline, problem to your design. It won't be shiny, and there is also a possibility to stack inside the cavity. So after we polish the mold, we will make the design with the cocoa butter. We are using cocoa butter colors. So basically we are melting the cocoa butter, the fat of the chocolate, and we are mixing with fat soluble colors, and I have red color and white color. The temperature of this cocoa butter is very, very important. The cocoa butter creates crystals, and we want to have the stable crystals inside the cocoa butter before we start working. And the way we do it is we lower the temperature in 26.5, and then we're raising it up to 30, 31 degrees, depending on the chocolate. And for the cocoa butter, we need to go up to 31 degrees. So again, down to 26.5 and up to 31 degrees. To make it a little bit faster, I'm using ice. It went down to 26.5, and then I'm going to warm it up, and for that I'm using a heating gun. Once the cocoa butter is ready, we're filling up the spray gun. It's always good to test the spraying gun to see the pressure, the flow, and we are going to apply a very, very thin layer onto the mold. So after we spray the mold, we need to clean it, and we're using this drying paper. The first is going to be only a small touch onto the paper. Then you shake it a little bit, and again, until basically you clean the whole surface on top of the mold. You clean around the mold, and it has to be always clean on the surface. We need to wait until the first layer is dry. And for the second step, in the pastry program, we are using a 3D printer, but there are also different techniques to create this specific technique. So this tool is exactly the same size as the cavity. We dip the tool inside the cavity, inside the cocoa butter. We're coming onto the cavity. We press it, we create this action, therefore creates a nice design onto the mold. We call it veins or roots. For this one, the cocoa butter needs to be a little bit thicker. So it doesn't really matter the temperature. The most important is to bring it to the right consistency. You see the cocoa butter start getting thicker. That's a great consistency, almost like a honey. We dip the tool in, we push it into the cavity, and we lift up. Don't worry, sometimes we need to come back into the cavity and press it again. After we finish, again, we need to clean again the surface of the mold. Always the first time that you're cleaning the mold, it needs to be kind of like a small touch, and then after you can really work it. The surface of the mold always needs to be clean, because after when you're casting the chocolate on, it needs to be clear so it doesn't create any bumps onto your spatulas. The transparency of the cocoa butter, we're using it as an advantage for this technique. That's why we can see different shades of color. You have thicker pieces of cocoa butter and thinner layers of cocoa butter. Therefore, you can see different texture. But is also a disadvantage because if you put dark chocolate on, it won't be clear. The cocoa butter will not be clear. That's why we need to spray with another layer of white cocoa butter so the color will pop. And again, we have to make sure that always the surface of the mold is very, very clean. So every time we are applying a color or we're making a design, we have to clean the mold and then proceed to the next step.
So we talk about the steps of how to make the chocolate from bean to bar. Let's talk a little bit about the chocolates in general, right? The most common that you all know is dark, milk, and white. The dark chocolate has only cocoa solids, cocoa butter, sugar, and a little bit of lecithin. Lecithin is an emulsifier. Even the small amount of water that the chocolate contains with the lecithin, it makes the chocolate more smooth, let's put it this way, smoother. Then we have the milk chocolate, which on the same mixture, we're adding milk powder. And then the white chocolate, which, as I told you before, it doesn't contain cocoa solids. So it's only cocoa butter, milk powder, and sugar, a little bit of vanilla as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but all the time when you're buying a chocolate, there is always the percentage of the chocolate. Dark chocolate 52, 65%, and so on and so forth. This percentage is what basically reveals is how much of the fruit, how much of the bean is inside the chocolate, no matter if it's cocoa butter, no matter if it's just cocoa solids or cocoa mass. So how much of the fruit is inside the chocolate. So if, for example, for dark chocolate, you see that is 52%. So the rest, you know that is sugar, right? So the higher the percentage of the chocolate, less sweet and less sugar. Now, sometimes you hear also chocolate and couverture. The thing now is what is the difference, right? The chocolate has at least 80% of cocoa butter, and the couverture has at least 31% of cocoa butter. So the cocoa butter inside the couverture is quite high. That makes the chocolate very fluid, very liquid. And we are using couverture to make, definitely to make chocolate decorations or to make malted pralines. For more delicate things, we have to use couverture because it's a little bit more fluid. The chocolate, normal chocolate, you can use it for baking, for brownies, for cakes, and things like that. Another thing that you should know, sometimes you get a product that it says coating chocolate. From where I'm coming from in the industry, we call it imitation chocolate or compound chocolate. What basically is happening is there is an addition of a different kind of a fat, either palm oil they add sometimes. Is very common also coconut oil. So at the point that we start adding different kind of fat inside the chocolate, technically we cannot really call it chocolate. It's kind of like an imitation chocolate. So let's see the last and final video, how to finish the pralines. There is no, I cannot hear a sound, Mr. Humberto. There is a small technical problem.
Yeah, Humberto, we see the video, but we can't hear the sound.
Let's try it one more time. Yeah, now we do.
So now we will prepare the chocolate so we can cast the mold. The chocolate needs to be tempered. So about 2/3 on the marble. We're using 2 spatulas. The one spatula is to move the chocolate on the marble. And the other spatula is, if you want to clean the second spatula, to clean it like that. Therefore, you just dip the spatula deep into the bowl and stirring nicely without basically incorporating air. So you take the chocolate. If it got hard in 5 minutes, that means that your chocolate is tempered. Imagine if you spend all this time to create a nice design on your mold and you cast it with untempered chocolate. When the chocolate is tempered, while it gets set, it shrinks. Therefore, it's coming out from the mold. If the chocolate is not tempered, will not have the snap, will not have this sign, will even stick inside your mold. It will melt on your fingers just when you're touching it. So we fill up the chocolate in a piping bag, and we have to fill all the cavities until the top. We can fill each cavity one by one, but if you're not fast enough, you can just apply pressure and fill it up in lines. The most important thing is that all the cavities, they need to be filled up until the very, very top. We're lifting up the mold. We always need to have it on horizontal. We apply some vibration if there are any bubbles on the chocolate to come up. So afterwards we will not have air bubbles on top of the surface of our praline. And then we empty it. We scrape it underneath. If we can see underneath, if the layer of the chocolate is too thick, we can still heat it a little bit to remove more chocolate. When we were applying the cocoa butter, I was always saying that the surface of the mold needs to be clean, and that is the reason. If there was cocoa butter, I wouldn't be able to come and clean the mold. While we leave the chocolate to set, it's always good to let it set upside down. The reason why is if you leave it the other way around, the chocolate will come down, and you will have a very, very thick layer of chocolate on the top and very, very thin layer on the sides. So it's very, very important to set like that. Sometimes you can put it like that on the side of the mold. Some people, they put it on a wire rack. We put it between bars, and we wait until it sets. Now for the next step, we are going to fill the mold with the fillings. So a little bit of the jelly on the bottom, which basically afterwards is going to be the top of the praline when you turn it upside down. So now for the second filling, which is the ganache. First of all, we have to make sure that the ganache is not very hot, otherwise it's going to melt the chocolate. We say below 26 degrees. We need to make sure that the ganache will come at the right level, that is going to leave a space for the chocolate to come and seal the whole praline. And the best way to do it is by overfilling the cavities. All the way to the top. And then depending how liquid your ganache is, you turn it a little bit so the ganache start coming out of the mold, and you scrape it against in order to empty a little bit the mold and leaves you with the right space between the ganache and the level of the mold. Now we need to let the ganache to crystallize, because obviously if we put the chocolate on top, it will squeeze out the ganache. So we have to make sure that the ganache on top is kind of like dry, we call crystallize. So we have to leave it, depends on the ganache, it can take an hour or up to overnight, some ganaches. So for the next step, we're going to apply the last layer of the chocolate, and we have to make sure that the ganache is not sticky. So you see the ganache is crystallized, so when I touch it with my finger, it doesn't stick on your finger. Again, we're going to use tempered chocolate. Make sure that the tip of the piping bag is always going to the garbage. And this time, we're going to alternate the cavities. And again, we're always holding it horizontal. Now we're pressing down, not against, we're pressing down and we're filling the mold. We're going one on one side, once on the other side, and it's ready. It's quite easy, this step. If you've done everything right, this step is quite easy. Now we have to let the last layer to set, and we are ready to demold. So now that the chocolate on the surface is set, we are ready to demold it. We usually wearing gloves when we are handling chocolate because we don't want to leave our fingerprints on the chocolate. Therefore, for this step, I will wear gloves. We always hold the mold from the sides, and then we'll tilt it rapidly in order to force the pralines to come off the mold. That is the cherry praline that we made. My recommendation: use fruits, always fruits. Destabilizing a little bit the sweetness of the product, so it's not very sweet. It gives you a little bit of sourness as well. When you are choosing your colors, make sure that the colors are matching with your fillings, not that you're going to do blue, green with no reason. The colors, they have to match with the taste of the praline. Make sure that the chocolate and the cocoa butter is always in the correct temperature. As I said before, always remember the magic temperature, 26.5. So the chocolate needs to come down to 26.5 and up to 32, 33 degrees, depending on the chocolate. Thank you very much for watching.
I wish that technology with that advanced that we could also be able to send you the praline to taste it. That was a cherry praline. Some more tips about chocolate, working with chocolate. First of all, tempering of the chocolate, pre-crystallization of the chocolate is very, very important. The thing is that when I'm delivering this course here in Switzerland, it takes more than 4 hours in theory, and then another 4 hours down in the pastry kitchen, so the students will understand what is the chemistry, what is happening inside the chocolate. But it's very, very important the chocolate from 45 degrees when the chocolate is melted at 45 degrees. There is no crystal formation. The cocoa butter is creating crystals, and in order to create stable crystals, you need to take the temperature of the chocolate down to below 27 degrees. That's why we always say 26.5, and then you rise it up to the working temperature depending on the chocolate you are using. The working temperature, you can always find it on the website of the chocolate that you are using. Another thing that you have to be very, very careful is the equipment that you are using, the tools that you are using, that they are very, very clean, dry. Another tip that I would give you is to have your chocolate while you're working with it in a plastic bowl, because the metal is attracting cold temperatures and it will force your chocolate to cool down or get hardened very, very fast. And again, temperatures are so important that even your room temperature is very, very important. The correct room temperature for chocolate is 20 degrees. And of course, storing the chocolate is very important as well. The chocolate is attracting odors and humidity as well. So it's always important when you create your products to seal them from humidity and from foreign odors. So you need to close it airtight. The good storage conditions of chocolate is 15 to 18 degrees away from light sunlight, and definitely away from foreign odors. When we go to the chocolate factories here, they always advise us not to wear strong perfumes, and not even to smoke 2 hours before the visit. And on the next slide, you can see what our students doing here in Switzerland. When on the third term, we are creating showpieces made out of chocolate. So all you can see there is 100% chocolate, or maybe 99.9 because we are using some color as well. So all the students, they get about 15 kilos of chocolate to create a showpiece. And at the end of their studies, they can also create their own original piece. I wish there are any questions that we can answer, or if you have any questions.
Yes. Chef, before we come over to questions, thank you so much for that part, for sharing it with
Pleasure.
us. Again, every time I see it, it looks so tasty, it looks so yummy, and I like chocolate as well, as you can see, but we can't taste it, so technology needs to advance a little bit more. Stay with us for a question and answer session in a few minutes, but I would like to give over to Humberto again. He would like to share a couple of more information with our students. Humberto.
Thank you, Christian and Chef Fotios, for this incredible presentation. Like we say in Mexico, we gave the world chocolate, but you made it perfect.
Thank you very much. Pleasure, it's my pleasure.
Bueno, entonces nada más me gustaría hablar rápido de las características del convenio que se tiene con VM y pasamos a las preguntas, que ya vi que hay algunas. Y nada más para hablar, estos programas, todos los que se mencionaron, incluso el convenio, son 100% en inglés. Todo está incluido, desde la colegiatura, el hospedaje, que es ocupación doble, todos los alimentos, los 7 días de la semana, el uniforme, un seguro internacional, trámites migratorios, uniforme de cocina, set de cuchillos y materia prima. Todos los servicios de carrera para trabajar, los trámites de diploma e impuestos, como buenos suizos, el servicio de carrera personalizado para obtener un internship de sus sueños en cualquier parte del mundo, y esto es un beneficio que van a gozar de por vida porque van a ser nuestros exalumnos siempre. Entonces siempre van a poder ir a Suiza, tomar otros programas, etcétera. Y el descuento que entra en el convenio con VM para que ustedes puedan aprovechar e irse ya sea al convenio de la licenciatura o los otros que se mencionaron de Culinary Arts Academy, es un descuento hasta el 20% sobre colegiatura, hospedaje y alimentos. Y bueno, ¿qué les puedo decir? Más que nada, tener esa experiencia internacional. Esto no se había mencionado, pero en total tenemos a más de 6,000 alumnos de más de 110 nacionalidades inscritos en todos nuestros programas. Entonces, si quieren esa experiencia internacional de vivir y trabajar en Suiza y en Europa, esta es su oportunidad. The next one, please, Christian. Y bueno, ¿qué se pide por parte de VM? Por favor, esto considérenlo. Se necesita un promedio mínimo de 8.5 en la carrera. Esto solo es para el programa de licenciatura. No son para los otros programas ni para la maestría. Estar cursando, como les había dicho, el 6º semestre o el equivalente en trimestre o cuatrimestre. El nivel de inglés es muy importante. Se necesitan los resultados del TOEFL o del IELTS. Si ya lo tienen, por favor, nada más verifiquen la vigencia porque estos exámenes vencen. No tener adeudos, obviamente, en VM. Y estas son las fechas para las convocatorias del inicio de licenciatura para el periodo de abril, julio y octubre de 2021. Estamos poniendo aproximadamente mínimo 4 meses de anticipación a hacer el trámite. ¿Por qué? Porque hay que pasar por el proceso de preselección interno en cada uno de los campus de VM a nivel nacional. Y también esto, por favor, considérenlo por el tipo de visa que se va a otorgar por el gobierno suizo, por ser una visa muy en específico, porque no es de estudiante, sino se llama permiso de residencia. Tarda hasta 3 meses esta visa. No es cosa que nosotros nos tardemos, ni VM, es cosa del gobierno suizo. Entonces, por favor, esto tenerlo en cuenta. Y también recuerden, muy importante, esto es sugerencia, ya haber hecho o estar por acabar el servicio social para que ya no tengan ese, también estar pendiente de eso. The next one, Christian, please. Y de nuestra parte es todo. Muchas gracias, Chef. We have the first question. If they don't have a marble table or utensils to temper the chocolate, is there any other way they can temper the chocolate?
Yes, it's quite technical, but the thing is, if you have a kitchen top, you can always temper it there. It's just that the marble is quite cold. It's attracting cold temperature, so it's going to help you doing it fast. You can even put the chocolate in a bowl, right, and put it in a cold water to temper it like this. But it's quite how to say, quite dangerous when you're working with chocolate and have water as well close to you. The best is the marble, but any kitchen top will do. Now the utensils, you definitely need to have some spatulas, right? I guess every kind of every house has some spatulas, so you need to have some equipment in order to work with chocolate. The other thing is that you need, I would say, it's always good to have a thermometer. I mean, you can find a thermometer, a very, very cheap thermometer. You can even use it as well when you are doing some cooking. If you want to check if your chicken is cooked, for example, right? It's always good to have a thermometer at home.
Thank you. And another question has to do is the new, well, it's not new, but trending this pink or red chocolate. Is it really chocolate?
Yes, it is really chocolate. Is the way that are fermenting the beans, so the color is natural. It's quite nice fruity chocolate. We have a production here in Zurich. It's a branch of Calebo. Calebo is the creator, but here we have a branch of Calebo, which is Karma, a local chocolate. So Karma is also creating the ruby chocolate. We were one of the first ones that, because we have a good marriage, let's put it this way, with Karma, our school with Karma. So we were one of the first ones that we got the chocolate. It's quite nice, fruity. To be very honest with you, I'm still a fan of dark chocolate, but it's a nice chocolate. It's a nice chocolate.
All right, thank you. And 2 more questions.
Yeah.
How many chocolate marshmallows can come out of a kilo of chocolate?
How much what?
Chocolate marshmallows. That's
marshmallow is made with egg white, sugar, and gelatin, right?
Okay.
Marshmallow. If you dip them though in chocolate, then it's a different story. But if I understood correctly, but marshmallow is the one that we put on fire, right, with the stick.
Yes.
Yes. That's made with egg white, gelatin, and sugar.
Oh, okay. So that was
there are also some other techniques, using invert sugar, tremoling, and so on and so forth. But it's a whipped gelatin. Let's put it this way. That's why it's so gelling.
Thank you. And one other question: do you also have to temper white chocolate?
Yeah, and as you're going down from dark to milk to white, things are getting a little bit more, let's say, harder. The dark chocolate is easier to temper, and then as you go down, the milk chocolate it's much harder than the dark. Let's put it this way. And the reason why is that you don't only have cocoa butter and cocoa solids, but you have milk as well, milk powder that makes things a little bit more difficult.
All right, thank you. And one final question. Two more questions. Sorry, the pralines that you just prepared for us in the videos. How much do you per chocolate kilo of chocolate? How many do you think we can make?
Of those pralines?
Yes.
How much chocolate did I use for these pralines?
If we have a kilo of chocolate.
A kilo of chocolate. The praline molds that we are using is on a bite size. It's quite small. One praline weighs about 10 grams. It's in a bite size, right? So with 1 kilo, you create quite a lot of those.
All right, and one final question. Swiss chocolate is famous around the world, but in Mexico we add cinnamon and other spices. Have you, in your classes, tried these new flavors in chocolate, or just the traditional Swiss chocolate flavors?
We always experiment with chocolate. So here in the school, I don't know if you probably guys don't know because you are not from the industry, but we have a melanger. We have a machine that is doing the same thing that the conching machine is doing. And together with Chef Daniel, a lot of times, especially on term one, because on the term one, our concept is from farm to table. So we take cocoa nibs, like straight the bean, and we create our own chocolate. And a lot of times we experiment adding essence and aroma, different aroma to the chocolate. So yeah, we do.
All right. Thank you, Chef Fotios and Christian, again for your time and for answering your questions and for making us crave chocolate right now. It's early for us, but we're craving chocolate. Yeah, and
it's always chocolate. It's good for the whole day. Don't worry. I always have a little bit of dark chocolate in the morning. It's a great way to start your day.
Oh, good advice. So thank you again, Christian, Chef Fotios. It was a pleasure having you. Federico, ¿algo que quieras agregar?
Claro que sí, Humberto. Bueno, voy a seguir la técnica del Chef Fotios, un chocolate a la mañana todos los días. Creo que es perfecto. Así que, bueno, primero agradecer a todo el equipo de Swiss Education Group, a Fotios, a Chef Christian y por supuesto a ti, Humberto, que todo el tiempo nos acompañas. Y como estábamos revisando en el chat, tenemos muchos estudiantes de VM interesados en los diferentes seminarios, máster que tienen ustedes para ofrecer, ¿no? Muy importante el descuento que hay con VM, como bien lo mencionabas, Humberto, este 20% que hace muy accesible poder participar con los grandes chefs que tienen ustedes, tener en cuenta los 3 meses, no es un tema de Swiss Education, no es un tema de VM, son temas de la embajada, como tú bien lo mencionas, y recordar, abril, junio y octubre. Tenemos fechas para inscripción y bueno, toda esta variedad de poder estar justamente en Suiza. De más está hablar de la maravilla que es Suiza. Tuve la oportunidad de ir en varias oportunidades y es una experiencia internacional en todo sentido de la palabra, ¿no? Y poder tener estas experiencias, estos grupos con 12 estudiantes, esta cantidad de horas prácticas en cocina, con grandes chefs, con estudiantes de diferentes partes del mundo, no solamente sirve para poder aprender, sino para generar tu networking, tus colegas, como tú lo decías, Humberto, de por vida, porque tienes acceso a toda la plataforma de Swiss Education de por vida, ¿no? Entonces, nuevamente, muchísimas gracias a los chicos de VM. Por favor, aprovechen esas oportunidades. Son oportunidades maravillosas que tenemos y que crecemos no solamente profesionalmente, que es fundamental, sino también como personas. Siempre he dicho, poder estudiar, poder viajar, poder tener estos aprendizajes de manera internacional nos enriquece y nos coloca en otro escalón. En un escalón donde nos diferencia justamente de la mayoría. Y aquí podemos elegir grandes trabajos en hoteles, en navíos como trabajaron los chefs, el chef Fotio, en diferentes partes del mundo. Y esto simplemente nos enriquece y nos enriquece y nos enriquece todo el tiempo. Así que muchísimas gracias a todo el equipo. Muchísimas gracias por esta maravillosa masterclass de chocolates. Y bueno, nos vemos en una próxima porque seguro queremos repetir. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you, Chef Fotios. Thank you, Christian. Christian, could you
Thank
just
you
put
very
the
much.
presentation
Pleasure.
with my contact information, please? Nada más para mis datos de contacto, ahí los tienen. Thank you again, Federico, un gusto. Christian, good night to you. Thank you so much for your time. And Chef Fotios, it was a pleasure and hope to see you soon in Switzerland
Pleasure.
or come visit us soon.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yes,
pleasure.
please.
Looking
Come to
forward.
Mexico. Thank you very much.
Gracias
you.
a todos. Un gusto,
Thank you.
excelente
Thank you,
día.
guys.
Gracias, UVM.
Bye.
Una producción de VM Radio.